Was a major conflict that involved a vast majority of the world's countries. It was the largest war and deadliest war. Millions of young men and civilians lost their lives. This global conflict between the Axis and Allied powers lasted from 1939 to 1945. It started off as a European conflict, but escalated to a war where once other countries got involved. The United States involvement with the war began in the beginning with them aiding the Allies with supplies. Their full involvement came after the attack on Pearl Harbor. After this attack, America was all in. At first, the public opinion opposed war because all the bad that came from the First World War. But after that, the attack, America could no longer remain in isolation. They had to get involved. Band of Brothers is an excellent book that gives a storyline to World War II. Ambrose, the author of the novel, tells the story from a viewpoint of both officers and men. It is a book that has to be read to understand how good it is. They became one of the best and most well-known companies in the war. All the men came from different walks of life, some rich, some poor, and all of these men were volunteers who wanted to fight for their country. They came from all over the country and went to a wide range of colleges. A majority of them had no military experience, and many of them had never traveled outside of the country. I know what you're thinking. How is it a bunch of voluntary men with little military experience can become one of the best companies in the war? The answer is short and sweet. Hard work and training. These men spent several months in rigorous, demanding training. Each man was pushed to their limits. They had to do everything from running up hills to crawling under barbed wire. They had to be in tip-top shape to carry out successful missions, and the commanders knew this. This is why they were drilled so hard. In fact, one of the men stated that he lost as much as 40 pounds while in training. They trained in many different settings where they will experience different situations that might arise while in combat. Who was the leader of this training who made these men so extraordinary, you might ask? These men during training were under the strict command of Sobel, who got these men in the best shape of their lives. The original members of the Easy Company began basic training at Camp Tukakoa, Germany. Easy Company's original commanding officer, Captain Herbert Sobel, was demanding and trained these men harder than any other. Although he did a great job in training, these men of Easy Company did not like to be under the command of Sobel. He may not have been the best leader, but it would be hard to say that anyone else could have done any better at getting these men into shape. Although Sobel had got these men into shape, complaining from the men led to Sobel's reassignment. What kept these men going? You might ask. These men have families they wanted to get back to. They wanted to get back home, and the $50 a month bonus did not hurt. The recruits volunteered for the thrill, the honor, the extra money, but above all, the desire to do better than the ordinary draftee. These men were given the best equipment and leadership possible. It is no wonder why they were so successful. These men formed an unforgettable bond, just like they were brothers, hence the name Band of Brothers. That is probably the most important factor in a company's success. They were willing to work as a team to get the job done and were very successful. Their teamwork and love for one another contributed to them being able to work for the bigger cause. These men formed a bond that only a person who goes through it can understand. Easy Company had one of the highest casualty rates of all the Allied units. There were many battlefield commissions, including making Winters a major and battalion leader. Their unit was disbanded after the war in honor of their accomplishment. For the ones that made it back, we get a brief glimpse of their lives back at home. How they took their experience and lived their lives after being a part of one of the greatest forces in all of the military history. This is an intimate look at how these men came together and made it through the worst the Germans had. How they became a band of brothers. This teamwork can be applied to current situations that arise every day. Teamwork is a very important skill that is needed for almost any career path that a person decides to take, and with it, a group of people can get the most unimaginable things done. Furthermore, hard work and determination can also be another great lesson learned from this novel, because without it, the company would not have been victorious.
World War II, like my partner has just said, was probably the most dangerous and most costly conflict in the history of the earth. Over 60 million people died from 1939 to 1945. With that, that's about 10 million people every single year. So roughly, somebody in your family probably knows at least one person whose family was altered by World War II. It was mainly a European conflict until America joined on December 8th, 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. With that, America joined, and that was a game changer. World War II affected many people throughout the world, and there's a book out there called The Good War by Studs Terkel. The Good War, in fact, is a book that collects stories from people who actually experienced World War II, or know people who have experienced it, and I'm here today to explain some stories and elaborate on them, and why they're interesting and why they captivate me. It's a good book, and I hope to enjoy it and please you. This is The Good War by Studs Terkel. If you look inside it, there are many pages, and in these many pages are many stories. These stories are mental, but they actually affect your physical being. One story that captivated me was about this German mate on the submarine, and his name was Hans Gabler. Hans Gabler was actually sent to attack this fellow on the USS Guadalcanal. But in 1984, I suppose it's 84, they actually came to terms with one another and actually, in fact, became friends and came to reprimand each other. World War II was a very dangerous conflict because, as many of you know, the Germans were against the Americans. And with the Germans against the Americans, how is it possible, some might say, that you have two soldiers on enemies on each other's sides actually fighting one another? But after that, they became friends a couple of years, well, not a couple of years later, but 40 years later. That's very, very great. The story that captivated me during the book is actually about a story of a family living in Hamburg, Germany. I would roughly say Hamburg is the equivalent of Chicago today. It, in fact, is under constant bombing raids, as many of its other German major cities. The family in the book actually had to stay within 5 minutes of a bombing shelter and had to actually be prepared for when the planes do come. And that shows a very high psychological problem during the war on both sides, really. The American bombers who in fact fly over and drop bombs, and the German citizens who are not soldiers, but yet they're still being killed, not knowing whether or not this night could be your last night, this morning could be the last time you see the sun rising. That shows how the human psyche can be affected, and also how the human mind can be affected as well. Small aspect of the story is about a U.S. soldier who was actually sent to go clean up after the attack on Hiroshima. And this also talks about how he in fact still has radiation to this day, and how the radiation doesn't die, it just stays there. It goes on forever and ever and ever, and lives on forever. One particular story that actually caught my attention was about a 50-year-old from America who in fact joined the Marines to quote-unquote get the jabs. And his overall goal was to get revenge on the attack of Pearl Harbor. Keep in mind that he's 50 now. The average age for him, I would estimate, is about a good 18 to 20. So he was over twice the age and could actually be the fathers. That shows a very psychotic, nationalistic, impressionistic, and egoistic tendency to the man. At age 50, you still want to go island hopping in the Pacific to go fight the Japanese. And I'm going to leave you with a little poem from the beaches of Normandy, the shores of the Pacific, to the cities of Italy, to the killing of the Jews, horrific. World War II is still in our minds. World War II is going on time after time. From the ruins of Europe to the spoils from the victors, World War II happened over and over again.